Welcome back to the Time Podcast. I'm sorry if my microphone sounds a little bit different. I had to buy a new one. My Snowball sadly died. Um, this is kind of a continuation of what I spoke about in the last episode in terms of the internet as a whole right now. And it's rough out there. It's rough out there for people. I've obviously seen Jacksepticeye's video saying help because of how lonely he seems at the moment with everything going on. And as I said in I Want to Help Jacksepticeye video, he's not alone, and that's the thing. And it is a very isolating place when you're in certain positions, and that is why I reached out and stated my case as to what I'm about with the channel and everything else. I could have mentioned more on him, but as I say, I'm going to be doing my bit to support him and to support everyone else with the 24-hour streams and everything else. It's difficult to objectify certain aspects of the world right now without seeing some sort of negativity towards it. And I wish that, in my opinion, that we try a lot harder to filter out what is happening. A lot of it comes down to social media as a whole. Social media is a driving force for all things news related, drama related, hate related, negativity related, X, Y, and Z. And I do want to stem back to the Dan TDM situation because I have seen a lot of it and it's annoying me now. And as I'm sure it's annoying other people as well, because at the end of the day, when YouTube first came out, and I mentioned this previously, when YouTube came out, it was a video sharing platform so that you can provide content. Now, I don't have a problem with YouTubers distributing their own merchandise or having something under their brand name. It was never about that, and as much as people have issues about Prime has done well, and it has, and it is a risky move putting yourself in front of the likes of Gay Road, Lucas Aid, and everything else. But it's the same thing as throwing yourself into a market just for the sake of throwing yourself into a market. It is a bit ludicrous. I am fully on Dan TDM's side with it. People don't want to stay in their lanes, fine. I don't have an issue with that. But at the same time, if you're going to change your lane, you got to make sure you go back to it afterwards. You can't just you've got to flitter in and out of it. You got to go back to your roots. Remind yourself of what made you successful on YouTube to begin with. Because to completely remove yourself from what made you you and try and put yourself in another lane and another dynamic is a risky move, and people have made it work. But it is also, it looks effortless. And I'm not going to discredit the people that have worked hard to get to where they want to be. But what I will say is there is always someone that has worked a damn sight harder than you have to get to where they want to be, to get to the top of that field. Using your status as a YouTuber to throw yourself into industries that no one asked for is inspiring. It is also ludicrous at the same time. But that is just my opinion. I think people are entitled to do whatever they want to do so long as it isn't harming other people. But when you're damaging your own integrity because you've reacted in a certain way to how people are, and people raising very good points, and from what I've seen in this past year of me uploading videos to YouTube, it is a damn hard space to break into, to be seen in. I'm not bitter, I'm not an envious person, you know, I've seen the likes, you know, I've seen the capabilities of the likes of, you know, Jacksepticeye, for example, KSI, Markiplier, Dan TDM, Mr. Beast, as much as there's a lot of issues circulating around him at the moment. But I've always wanted to be that person that if I manage to break into the space, I'm still an average Joe at the end of the day. Still an average person. I wouldn't want to use my fame and my status to gain anything more than I've already achieved. Yes, I do music. Yes, I delve into other things. No, I don't see a need for it. You know, as I mentioned about, you know, Jack with his coffee. Good idea. Good idea. You know, same thing with Sidemen and their XX vodka. But going into healthy alternative lunches, and I am kind of given up being sort of eluded with how I approach it. Elusive, that's the word. Being elusive with how I approach it. No, the whole concept of Lunchly is just for the sake of cashing in money. He's right. Dan is 100% right. It is just a cash grab, and that's what's pissed people off, and that's what's upset people. It's because at the end of the day, you've just gone, oh, do you know what? I'm going to combine myself with a YouTuber that's got a lot of controversy around him right now, and bring out a healthier alternative to a product that is pretty healthy in itself. What more could you do to provide kids with a decent meal? You're providing them with a candy bar in your boxes, and chocolate isn't exactly sugar free. But I digress. I'm just mad. I'm mad at the state of the world at the moment, and I hope people that are listening can identify with that. I am mad with how the internet and social media is right now, and that's why I've come out and said that I want to help in whatever way I can to the people that are feeling isolated, alone, depressed. Trigger warning here, suicidal. All of those things. Yes, don't get me wrong, I disagree with the hate that people are receiving for simply doing their work, like the song In the Thick of It. I personally don't like the song, but I don't like the song for the reasons that everyone else is putting out there. I don't like it because it's not my type of music. Yes, it's catchy. Yes, I can understand why people like it. Is it one of his best? No. But that's fine. Giving him all this slow over the whole damn TDM thing, and he posts, yeah, he could have advertised it a bit better. Yes, he got a little bit triggered by facts. By facts. Dan TDM wasn't lying. There's a lot different. There's so much difference. And Jamie Bennington as well, another one. I'm just going to outright name him now because I've seen so much on social media that's actually irritated me to a point where I am speaking objectively and projectively about it. You know, we give too many people that spread negative shit a platform. We give way too many people that. It's actually the worst. It's the worst. I hate it. We give too many people the time of day that just want to start fires. And all for the wrong reasons. Spreading lies and hate. You can't believe everything you read on the internet. You know. This even down to the whole young Philly case. Innocent until proven guilty. If we're supposed to abide by the law, we should uphold it as well. That's my opinion. It should be more accepted, but that's my opinion. If we're supposed to abide by every account of the law, then we should uphold it for everyone. But we are way too quick to flatten someone for an article coming out. What if it turns out he was actually innocent and then he goes and does something that he may regret? That may upset a lot of people. How are you going to feel then? All the people that hated him, slandered him. But we are way too quick to jump on the allegations and assume they're correct. We are. Way too quick. Especially when it comes down to people of certain statuses. Unless it's evident and seen. Like with what the government were doing with Partygate in the UK, for anyone that lived in the UK during COVID. Or people going, or members of Parliament going to see their families when they told us all to stay indoors. Which I think is wrong anyway. You know, but that's a topic for a different day. You know, it's affecting people. That's how all of it is affecting people right now, and others don't realise how much it's affecting. Who can you turn to? Who can you speak to? Who can you open up to about the situation? Because everyone already has an imprint of thought and opinion based on the thoughts and opinions of others. That is normally led off of fallacies and false news. If you respect my opinion and you agree with it because you have the same sort of belief, then fine. But if you're looking at one side of the table to the other, and you're going with the majority because it's a safer alternative, no. You have to look upon yourself and look at what you believe in. And I hate to use this podcast as a way of venting my frustrations at the world at the moment. But because it's affecting me mentally, I know for a fact that it's affecting others in the same way. And that is the reason why I still do it. You know, we're still seeing so much about trans people not being respected, or homosexuality. We're still seeing all of this. We're still seeing racism. We're still treating people like dirt because they're different than us. Yet, we're a minority, speaking as a white man. White person. If that makes people feel more comfortable. People want to be referred to as they, them. People want to, or ze or zer. People don't want to have the status quo of gender normalities. And people wonder why this is happening. Not to take it away from the people that generally feel a certain way based on how their bodies are working and how their mind is telling them things. But when you push gender norms and stereotypes onto individuals or onto society, you sit there and wonder why people are suddenly turning out and saying, I'm non-binary. Like, or trans even. Like, they shouldn't be using the same spaces. People are people. Just because we have different genitals, people are still people at the end of the day. We live in a time where there's a lot more safeguarding concern around individuals, and that is why we have the implemented measures that we do. But we're getting to a point now where people don't feel comfortable in their own genders, so they're either trying to, sit in the middle of it or switch entirely. So many people out there are uncomfortable with their gender. I am not the most masculine of men. I'm not. I am not your, I'm a little bit more feminine than I care to admit sometimes. I am. A lot more softly spoken. A lot less testosterone-y. I'm even putting poses as I'm doing this as if you can fucking see what I'm fucking doing. Because it's maniacal, it's ludicrous that you've got so many people out there. Everyone says what makes a woman a woman and what makes a man a man. A man is defined by what society defines a man as. A woman is what society defines a woman as, whether we're in a updated, more politically correct society or not. If people want to be a woman, they can be a woman. If people want to be a man, they can be a man. Those words are made up from male and female. And now we go into what male and female is. Male and female are categorized as sex, which categorizes as separate genders with different chromosomes, with different genitals, with different biological frameworks. A man and a woman is just nouns. They are just literally words that describe male and female in a different way. So with that being said, why can't someone be a man, or why can't someone be a woman? Why? When we talk about feminists and feminism, it's based on the word female, not being a woman. It's like J.K. Rowling said, a woman is someone who menstruates. No, a female is female. Someone that is biologically female menstruates. Someone that is biologically female menstruates. You can't ignore biology. But the terminology and the vocabulary that we use, yeah, can very much be catered. And why is it such an issue? It's because people want to make it an issue, because it deters from norm. What is norm? Norm is what, as I said in a previous podcast, is what we constructed it to be. There will be people out there that will very much disagree with my statement on anyone can be a man and anyone can be a woman. I know there is. But it's true. By our definition of society, yes, you can. Easily. If I wanted to turn around and say and be a woman tomorrow, then yeah, so be it. In terms of being female, though, it's a little bit harder. You can only get yourself, say, 75% of the way there. And the womb and the uterus that makes up the biology that allows people to have children, yeah, fine. They can, they want to be female and they can get a certain amount of the way there, but they're still women at the end of the day. But not every biological female is able to have kids. Does that make them any less of a woman for being that way? No. It doesn't. But yet that's still said. Same goes for a man. If a man can't actually produce sperm to have kids, does that make him any less of a man? No, but he's still male at the end of the day. And I'm sorry to point this out, but depending on your biology, as someone that's non-binary, you're still connected to that sex or gender. However, you are non-binary, so you associate with neither man or woman. You are just yourselves, themselves, theirselves. I will admit, when it came down to being non-binary, it's something that confused me for a while from a psychological point of view, because how do you reach a point where you can't identify yourself with either gender? But then, as time has gone on and as it's been explained to me by my partner, is if you separate man from male, woman from female, all you have is societal norms and biological terminology. So when you sit in the middle of that, or sit in the middle, when you sit in your own area of that, you still have the biology there, and you can't escape that. Not unless science finds a way of removing the masculine and feminine hormones entirely and replacing it with something else. Replacing it with a, call it testrogen. I don't know. Chatting shit at this point. But my point is we give too much of a shit about things that we really shouldn't give a shit about. This woke agenda, people are trying to be more included and not feel so excluded. Yes, some of it is a bit forced, I will admit. It does irritate me, but because it shouldn't be. Like Doctor Who, for example, during the David Tennant specials for the 60th anniversary, and Rose asked the doctor if he just assumed that alien's gender. Just out of pocket, out of nowhere. And it was like, right, okay, I see why you put that in there, but was it needed? No. Because it is natural to assume. It is. Unfortunately. Because of the way we're biologically perceived, it is easy to mistake someone for being either male, being male or female. It's difficult to assume if someone's non-binary, I'm afraid. But until stated otherwise, yeah, people are going to make natural assumptions. The other example, that's more of a good example, is Heartstopper. It isn't forced, it isn't... I probably did mention Heartstopper previously as well. It isn't forced, it isn't overused, it's perfect. Sex education being another one. What people actually go through in their day-to-days to try and find out who they are. And we perpetuate so much hate and negativity towards it. Why? What is it? What is it that pisses people off so much about it? If you have to have a definitive reason as to why. You can't just go, it's unnatural. What the hell is natural? Natural is the shit that grows out the ground. Natural is the shit that our bodies do in certain... our bodies aren't unnatural. Our brain still thinks, we still breathe, we still defecate, we still urinate. Those are natural things, but what on earth is natural? We were born to reproduce, and we reproduced in the masses. In the last 150 years, our population has tripled. And there's been a lot, people have come out more as homosexual or non-binary and things like that. And people are saying the human race would die out. How can something be unnatural based on reproduction when our population has tripled in 100 years? Quadrupled, maybe. How? I don't quite understand how people jump to that conclusion. If being gay was unnatural, then... I don't even know where I was going with that. I was going with something ridiculous. It will come to me eventually. I had a point I was going to make about if being gay is unnatural, then... if being gay was unnatural, the world would die out. Reverse it. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not affecting society in any way. It's not affecting the population in any way. It's not affecting economics in any way. I hope people can understand what I mean when I say if being gay is unnatural, then the whole world would die out. It's a play on when people say that, it's a play on when people say being gay isn't natural and the whole world would die out if it did. Just want to clarify, because, I don't want... I'm trying to be an ally here. I don't want to fuck anything up. I stumble over my words a lot. But I'm going to keep driving this point home on every podcast if I have to make more. Well, I will make more episodes than this, given. I will keep driving this point home because it's beginning to really piss me off of how people are getting so upset over shit that really doesn't concern them. And when people come out and say, oh, but the rate of sexual harassment will be higher. I'll tell you something for free. If sexual harassment wanted to be higher, it would in an instant. And as fucked as this is going to sound, it is incredibly easy. Incredibly easy. I know people that it's happened to, and I feel for them on every level because of what it does to a human being. So when you try and spout some shit about being trans makes you a rapist or whatever the fuck, no. Transitioning into the gender you identify with is what makes people comfortable with who they are as a person. That's all it fucking does. Doesn't mean they're gonna go around doing shit they shouldn't be doing. People will do that regardless. You know. It's funny, I've not actually seen this come up yet, and if someone wants to bring this to me, then go for it, because I've never seen it happen. I've never been in a scenario where a bloke has walked into a female's restroom and said, I identify as female, and went for a piss. I haven't. I haven't at all. I have, though. Granted, it was in a different set of circumstances. Being in a men's toilet, and a young girl walks in. I say young, she was about 19 in comparison to me being 26, so yeah. She was 19, purely checking in on someone that went to the toilet ages ago. Turned around, looked at me and went, I identify as a man. I'm not going to jump to a conclusion here, but I'll let you guys think on that one. I have never seen a man try to identify as a woman to abuse. Never seen a man go into a female's restroom identified as a female and identify as a female in that split moment. Never. But I have seen a woman go into a men's restroom and instantly go, I am a man. I identify as a man. That's why I'm in here. Now, I know what some of you will be thinking at this point and being like, what the fuck? That's kind of the point. No, that's not the point, I'm trying to make. It's because people do abuse it. People do abuse it because they know they can get away with it. It's fact. You can't sit there and argue it. You could argue the ifs and buts of maybe they actually are. Maybe they are actually are. Maybe they are actually trying to transition into a male or a female, whatever. Yeah. Granted, but people will abuse it. People will take it upon themselves to abuse it to gain certain things out of it. So it doesn't surprise me, not in the fucking slightest. But it's these same women that are complaining about men. Complaining about people that have transitioned using their associated gender's bathroom. It's those same people that are complaining about the sexual assault and harassment statistics going through the roof But they'll happily walk into a men's toilet and just say, "Oh, I identify as a man," and then just do whatever. So there's a bit of hypocrisy there. And I'm a firm believer in the fact that men can actually get raped. So as much as people say they can't, they can. 100%. But you don't... I mean, we live in a society where men can't talk about anything, because the minute you open yourselves up vulnerably, they look upon you as if you're weak. We've defined mental health as being weak. We've defined showing emotions as being weak. No, it's not weak. It's chemical reactions to react to stimuli, and you expect us to hold that shit on a regular basis? No. I do, yeah. I do make that mistake. That is why I talk to you guys now through this podcast. Because I know people do. We should be allowed to feel emotion. All these people that say that we shouldn't, that we should just lock ourselves down and just continue on providing for a princess that doesn't actually give a shit. Luckily, I'm not in that situation personally, but I know people that are. Can give a rat's ass whether you're happy or healthy. They just want the money from you. And I can understand why people get pissed off about it. People get upset by it. Because people think they deserve something because of a certain status that they have. I'll just go and find someone else that will actually provide what I want. All you need is clothes, a roof over your head, food on the table, and running water. I don't need anything more than that in this day and age. But people expect so much fucking more. You don't need makeup to remind yourself something, to make yourself something that you already are. Beauty is defined by the natural, not by what fucking products you can put on your face. And I know a lot of women or men or non-binary don't hear that enough. You are all beautiful, and you don't need something to make yourself look what you already are. Seem to have gone on a bit of a tangent compared to what I originally set out this episode to be. But it all stems from social media and the internet pushing certain narratives onto people. So, but with that being said, stay safe out there. And talk to yourself a little more. You might find you end up learning things about yourself you didn't before. And until then, remember, towards improving mentally every day takes time. I'll see you guys in the next episode.